Hey, everybody, it's Brian coming to you live from not Japan. I mean, that's Dan usually coming live from Japan. I'm in Pennsylvania in the United States. So I hope everybody's having a great day. Dan, how are you doing today, my friend?
Oh, I'm all right. Just wrapping up the day here with this nice fireside chat. There's no fire, but there's still we have the chat. Maybe
No fire.
maybe for future ones we can have like a little fire in the bottom or something burning.
I think Theo would like that too. He probably needs some warmth over there in Canada. It's cold up there today, I heard.
I have a big campfire over here. It's on the side. That's why you cannot see it. Hello, everyone. It's a beautiful morning here in West Coast in Vancouver, BC, and I'm super excited for today's fireside chat.
Yeah, so let's give a little breakdown of why we're even here. What are we doing in this fireside chat? What's the purpose of it? So to give everybody kind of a heads up, this fireside chat is to specifically speak about the partnerships that we signed. There's been about 7 or 8 different partnerships that we all signed, and we've put out articles. However, we want to kind of go through each one and talk about each project that we signed these partnerships with, because they're outside of the crypto world, right? And you may not know from them if you're in the Palm economy. So I think it's important that we have this chat. And on a little side note, for those who are thinking about TGE, there is news about coming from today about that. So stay tuned. However, this chat's going to specifically talk about some of our partnerships. And Dan, one of the first partnerships was when you were down in Argentina, right? And you went and you spent some time down there and doing some exploration, and you ran into this company called Atomico 3. And we signed a partnership with them. Can you tell us a little bit about Atomico 3? And then also, I know there's a lithium index and possibly a stable coin backed by lithium. Can you just kind of talk about that a little bit of what we're working with?
Sure, absolutely. So the Atomico Tres, as they call them in Spanish, so this is a team of 3 people who we signed a partnership with, and they're basically their mission is very much in alignment with what we're trying to do in Argentina, which is bring sustainability, decentralization, accountability, and more access to the mining industry. And so this is in the combination with, technologies, introducing new technologies into the field, introducing blockchain technology into the field, creating funding vehicles for more novel operations to spin up. And of course, creating a decentralized lithium index, which is something that's actually really needed in the industry right now, because quite a bit of that is, it's fragmented right now. A lot of so just to give you kind of, we'll start from the end. We'll start from the lithium index. So why a lithium index? Well, lithium is a kind of an interesting commodity, right? It's considered a commodity in some places. In some places, it's not considered a commodity. One of the main reasons is because there is no unified worldwide quality and a grading standard for lithium, as well as a unified index. Like, say, for example, you would have with gold, with silver, and with other popular commodities that are traded worldwide that have all this access. They have access to capital, they have access to trading markets. Lithium doesn't have that, even though it's a multi-billion-dollar commodity. And so for it, and it's been talked about for quite some time now, that this is a fragmented field, that you have different regions in the world producing lithium. South America and LATAM is actually a huge one. There's also lithium coming out of Central America and the US. There's lithium in Australia. So, there's several different regions that are producing lithium. And so each one of those regions actually has their own price indexes. China is another one that produces lithium. And so that makes it difficult for things like trading markets and commodities markets to really integrate it as they would something that's like gold or silver, because you need this unified index. Now, why is there not why is there no unified index? That is actually because also the different regions where lithium is mined, the type of lithium, the state of lithium, because a lot of it is lithium carbonate, some of it can be lithium gel. So it's all these different kind of states, right, of lithium. Some of it is battery grade lithium, some of it is just raw lithium brine. And so for it to be standardized, you have to pick, okay, what is its raw form that you're actually standardizing and indexing. And so different regions have different ways of doing this, right? And there's also different regions have a problem with things like, say, price manipulation and price gouging. Like, for example, there would be regions out there where you can more easily manipulate price because, say, for example, somebody or a certain entity owns like 90% of lithium production in the region. And so all that entity has to do is just turn off their lithium mining operation. The price of lithium is going to go up in that region because they're the only ones that, or they like the bulk of lithium comes from them.
They're setting the price. They're setting the market.
Exactly. And so, yeah, exactly. That they're manipulating the price. Now, that could be mitigated, right? They can be mitigated with information and access to information and access to other regions. If there was a way for these guys to basically go and say, okay, the Unified Lithium Index says that this is it. So, like, for example, you can't do that with gold too much because people know how much gold costs. You got LBMA gold that is traded on commodities exchanges. You can't go in there and say, you know what? No, I'll sell you gold for twice as much. I mean, you could, but it is very difficult. It has to be a really kind of concentrated, really gate-kept region where the gold is really needed, and there's the only access to gold is through one entity. But that's just not the case because gold is a lot more widely available and there's a lot more ways of getting it. So you can't do that with gold. With lithium, you still can do that. So going back to what we're doing is we are creating the infrastructure needed with our friends from Atomico Tres, who have developed a specific lithium index, I guess,
Formula.
infrastructure, a formula. Yes, that's good. That's a good one. Yeah, formula that is meant to kind of mitigate price gouging, kind of give you a much better understanding of the worldwide price, of more regional prices, all these different things, which we believe will have a big impact on how lithium is, how lithium is sourced, how lithium is bought, how lithium is processed, and how lithium is accessed. And so we believe that this is a very, very important piece. We believe that there's quite a lot of potential there, and it has potential to have a really big impact.
Yeah, and I find it strange that there's not a index, right? Because if you look at the lithium market is like 22 billion, right around there.
Exactly.
And it's expected to grow to 38 million or 38 billion, I'm sorry, within the next few years. So surprising that there's not actually an index to help with that.
Yeah, it is. It's well, exactly, and this is why we feel that. I mean, even you, Brian, who are not a professional lithium trader and purchaser, thinks it's weird, right?
Yeah.
Because it is, and this clearly shows that there's a need for something like this, and that's what we're going to be building with Atomico Tres. Another part of what we're doing with them is actually creating an easier pipeline for businesses to be able to capitalize. There is going to be a lithium-backed stable coin that is going to be utilized for various different operations to spin up right? So there's different operations that use different means of sourcing lithium. Some are a lot more sustainable than others. Some are a lot, this is meant to really kind of guide towards a much more responsible and a much more optimized and efficient way of sourcing lithium, because you're going to be able to kind of fund the businesses that are utilizing the more sustainable practices than the ones that are out there that are just basically kind of, some of them really exploiting resources and not really fixing what they grow. So that's also very important. We're also really excited about that. And that's, that in a nutshell, that's this relationship. And of course, there's, they're very well connected into the entire mining industry. They're really great business development partners as well. So, it's a very, multifaceted relationship that we have. And we're really excited about it.
Yeah, it's exciting, the whole lithium industry. And Theo, when you guys were down there, you guys did a bunch of different traveling around with Atomico Trace and meeting different projects. But when we signed that partnership with Atomico Trace, we rolled into another partnership with a company called Solito. And I'm sorry if I'm butchering the Spanish part of all that. I apologize, my friends. But there's been this large influx of partners down there pertaining to the lithium industry. What exactly, we kind of have an idea of what we're doing with Atomico Trace. What's the Solito partnership that we've signed?
Yeah, so
that's a great question.
It's actually,
ahead,
no, I'll let you take that one, but it's actually Solitio.
Solitio.
So litio is the Spanish way of saying lithium, and so it's basically Sol, the sun, litio. So go ahead, Theo.
So first of all, we're taking Spanish lessons with Dan, as you've kind of
I need
guessed.
them. I need them.
By the fire.
3 times he's been 3 times in LATAM, and he's been speaking Spanish almost fluently. One more trip, and he'll get his proficiency, I think. He's been very helpful when he orders food.
There's no IHOPs down there, so no IHOPs.
There's a lot of empanada though. So with that being said, I just want to piggyback on the conversation that you've started with Dan, and on the question why there's no lithium index, more specifically, and in general, I think we need to take a step back and see what's been happening in LATAM for the past 20 years or so, right? And especially more specifically in Argentina, which it was a country up until a couple of years ago now, that it was, it had a closed economy, and essentially, they didn't really have too many connections, I guess, with the outside markets, right? So we're at a place now that we have the new administration. Not political here or anything. It's just the reality of things. New administration, things opened up, and we saw so many things happening in terms of progress in LATAM over these last 2 years. One of the biggest things that I think it's something super, super important for us to always keep in mind, especially with the solutions and the things that we do down there, is the big trade deal that happened between the Mercosur countries, which is Argentina, Paraguay, Brazil, Uruguay, and I think Bolivia. Hopefully I'm not killing it right now, but I think that's Bolivia is in there as well. They had the biggest trade deal that they were in talks with the European Union for over 25 years, right?
25 years.
It was 25 years, yes. I didn't even had any clue or anything like that. But I saw the news while we were down in Argentina back in December, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So, only with this in mind, just this in mind, right? With this new trade deal that happened, there's so many commodities that have been produced in LATAM, obviously lithium being one of them, right? What happens is there's so many new opportunities right now for all the people that live in the LATAM region to actually be able to grow their businesses, local economies, and and I guess the provincial economies as well. One of the things that we did when me and Dan were down in Argentina with the Atomico 3, our partners, is that we visited a lot of different provinces up in the northern region of Argentina, where not it's not the fanciest places. They're not, the hubs are not there, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that live there. There's a lot of lithium reserves, especially in provinces such as Catamarca, La Rioja, and these provinces that are the northern side, closer to Chile, I guess. But like you have all those different things, the commodities and whatnot, and now it's time, and there's a huge opportunity for people to start exporting those products. Now, what do you need in order for you to, for anybody to start exporting their products to the European markets, to the US markets, Canada, Australia, and whatnot, is they need to abide by all the regulations that are in place. And this is where we're coming in with the solutions that we have, is to make sure that we empower all those people. Either they're in the mining industry, and we're talking about lithium more specifically, right? But at the same time, we can say the same thing about all the people that are producing. Argentina has so many olive trees, right? They produce so much olive oil. They produce yerba mate. They have they have livestock. They got so many different things that they will be able to actually sell to the European markets or the US markets. But before they even do that, they need to be 100% compliant. How do they accomplish that? By the traceability solutions and the tokenization protocol that we have put in place. And yes, different industries, so it will apply a little bit differently in each one of them. But at the same time, the bottom line is the same. People want to know what are the processes, right, that you took, that you put in place in order for you to produce your commodity. Either that's lithium, it's olive oil, yerba mate, or you name it, right? And you want to prove that all the steps that you took, from farm all the way to the table, from earth all the way to the table, right? All the steps that you took are actually fully compliant with all the regulations that these markets have. So, I'm just talking about the grand scheme of things here, because I think it's really important for us to understand why are we there? Why are we in LATAM? Why are we in Africa, in Southeast Asia, and all these different regions? Is because all those people need to have this kind of solutions. In order for them to start being able to do trade in these big jurisdictions and markets. So going back to lithium and all the work that we've done over there, and we keep doing, is exactly that. We're going to use the blockchain solutions, the traceability and tokenized protocol that we've built, to plug it into those systems and the processes that they have, so we and them, more than anything, can showcase to the regulators, to the people that they want to sell, that they followed all the they took all the right steps. Their waste management, water management, all that stuff are actually in place. They followed all the ESG standards in order for them to extract that lithium or to produce this yerba mate or the coffee or what have you, right? And then they can be able to sell those products to these other markets and actually get way better margins for instead of selling them into their local market, which they would get up to a certain price. So these are the things that we've been doing in LATAM, Africa, and Southeast Asia. Our biggest focus has been emerging markets, and we've seen the big need for these kind of technologies. So at the end of the day, we're all here to bring those solutions into these people's hand, utilize them in a way that it can make their life better.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. Right. So just one little correction: Bolivia is not part of the Mercosur.
See, that's why I wasn't too sure. Now
there's always
I
somebody
think
in the crowd that knows, though. So
I think I need to go back to your question as well about Sol Litio, right? And the whole idea behind these partnerships is the fact that few minutes ago, I mentioned Catamarca, which is one of the provinces that are, one of the provinces in Argentina. It actually has, and Dan, please let me know if I'm wrong there, but from all the conversations that we've had with geologists, and they actually showed us maps and like satellite images and everything else about with all the reserves that they have in that specific province. I think there's more than 3,000 confirmed sites, Dan, that they can literally put in place just in one region, just in this province.
I don't remember exactly how many it was, but he was literally showing us a map, and you could see it all on the map. It was literally, like all the different
So many
spots.
different dots. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
that's where they would be able to set up mines for lithium.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
Basically, it's places that where you can exploit the resource. Exploit in this. For those
Extract.
for those who might not know the terminology. So we don't want them to exploit the environment and not in a non-sustainable way, but exploiting the resources means to extract the resource. So that's a bit of like a mining lingo in there. And so so these different sites, they already have this mapped out. And in fact, there's actually, so we met with the Ministry of Mining of Catamarca, who actually told us that there's already software out there that they utilize that already maps this out. So like it's like Google Earth, right? But for lithium. And they can use this to find pretty much every single lithium exploitable site in the region. And I mean, it's just a matter of, I mean, it's not just, it's not like you go over there, you get a bucket and you start, you put it in a bucket and then you go and sell that stuff. I mean, it's a process. There's processing that you have to go through. You have to separate the salts, concentrate the salts, combine it with carbonate. You have to create different states of it. You got gel, like I said, you got gels, you got carbonate. I mean, the stuff that is mostly used in batteries is lithium carbonate. So that's the stuff that everybody's kind of looking for. I mean, of course, there's other states are being used now, but the stuff that you have for the most part in your in your average battery is that the liquid powder. And so and they have all this stuff already mapped out, and it's just a matter of creating a way for them to be to get started, because like I said, it's not easy. You have to organize this. There has to be like say another big thing out there that they really that needs fixing, and it's really a big deal, is actually logistics. Logistics over there are not that easy, and one of the reasons is because these are high elevations, and some of it is the desert, and you really need large vehicles to move this stuff around. This is not just this is not like gold where you got a gold bar and that thing costs a bunch of money. With this you need tons of it, right? And so you need to move tons of this stuff out of there to process it, to be able to sell it. And logistics is a big deal, and it's actually something that the bigger companies, they'll literally bring in their like everything. Like, for example, when the Chinese come in there and do this stuff, they bring in everything. Like, they literally bring in everything from refinery staff to vehicles. They will fly in and ship in their own vehicles and their own logistics teams to get the stuff out of there.
What I'm hearing is a lot of opportunity there, right? For like investing into these types of things. Like, there's a lot of mining places down there that need to be, the mine needs to be built and extracted. So it sounds like to me that the partnership with Solito kind of leads into like some investment opportunities through Endeavor, and that type of thing. But that kind of brings me to the next partnership. And Theo, you kind of touched on this, but I'm gonna talk to Dan about it specifically. And that was the regulations with QA payments, right? Like we signed a partnership with QA payments, and they're kind of the experts in some of the regulational stuff down there in Argentina, who we signed partnership
Right.
with, and they have connections with people like the United States version of like the SEC, and those types of people.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit
Right.
about what QA payment does, and how is that going to benefit the palm economy?
Of course. Well, first of all, I mean, another amazing, extremely well-connected biz dev partner. I mean, these guys are connected to pretty much everybody in the financial sector that we need. You know, that like anybody's connected to them. Very well, very knowledgeable. Them themselves have a payment service that is fully licensed by their SEC or their FSA. And it's one of very few, I think, that is actually legally licensed by the Argentinian FSA. In fact, I don't think it's the FSA. I think it's connected to the stock market, the Argentinian stock market. It's like the same agency. Anyway, so that's a very valuable piece of licensing that not many can attain. And they attained it through because they are so well connected in the region and in this particular area. And so they are the ones that would be giving us the opportunity to, first of all, make sure that things like, say, STOs, you know, you're talking about Endeavor, STOs that are done in Argentina are done in a compliant way. There's actually even a possibility for an ETF to be created on the Argentinian stock market for some of these assets. And of course, payments is a big deal over there, and their ability to kind of to provide payment rails is a big deal. They provide payment solutions for the government there, right, Theo? They work with like the municipalities and public transit. I think I don't quote me on this, but I think they actually provide payment solutions for some public transportation over there as well. Something like that, right, Theo?
There's a lot of things. Yeah. There's a lot of things that they're involved with, and one of the things that I just wanna mention, maybe it's a bit of an alpha. I don't know. I'm not too sure. But hey, why not? There's many amazing things that we're actually doing with quad payments, and all of that stuff will come out very, very soon. But there's a lot of things that obviously, as you've heard many times from different people in I guess talking about RWAs from CEO of BlackRock and whatnot, there is a lot of opportunities in the financial sector when you bring the tokenization aspect of things in it. From tokenizing transactions to tokenizing, I guess airplane points or air mile rewards and what, like, there's, you know what I mean? Like, there's different things that can happen in the financial sector with everything that we have in place right now on in the tokenization side of things, and we're working with them, and we're essentially going to be bringing something out that hasn't been done in Argentina before. That's as far as I can go with the things that I can share. And everyone from our community is going to be super excited when all that stuff actually comes together and we're able to start sharing some of those things. But to me, even though, it might not seem like it, or maybe we haven't really highlighted it the way that we should have, the partnership that we have with Quad Payments is one of the most fruitful ones up until now. And there's so much that we have on the pipeline, and we're discussing with them that definitely going to be one of our key partners, if not the key partner in Argentina up until now.
Shout out to QA Payments. And I know you've been working a lot with him, and you kind of caught me off guard with one of these MOUs, and we're going to kind of talk about this partnership next. And me and you were in a meeting, and you started talking about like renewable energy, and I'm like, what in the hell is this guy even talking about? Like renewable energy? I don't know what he's talking about. Like,
Yeah.
but then you broke this news about BIS and kind of what they do, and we're going to have BIS on the mainstream podcast next week. So don't give it all away because we need to save some of that juicy stuff for next week. But can you talk a little bit about what BIS does and where you see us going with that partnership?
Yes, of course, of course. So first of all, I think taking one step back, super quick, because again, I think it's important for us to highlight this, right? We hear about RWAs, people bring those up all the time. It's one of those buzzwords. I guess along with the AI agents, these are the two hot things now in this bull market. Last one was metaverse and NFTs. This one is RWAs and AI. Oh, and Deepin. I don't want to miss that on that. Anyways, when we talk about RWAs, there is, if you put 10 people in the same room with from them being from different locations of the world or different experiences and whatnot, and you tell them RWAs, right? Most likely from the thing, from how things are now, those 10 people might have 10 different thoughts, or some of them might have the same thought, but it's just a big, a broad spectrum right now. So I always like to touch on this and make sure that I say, when we talk about tokenization, when we talk about RWAs, what we're really focusing on is tokenizing the provenance, right? And all the information that comes with whatever, with XYZ commodity or whatever we tokenize. So that's something that is really, really important because, it clears, I guess, the air and makes people understand, okay, that's what this project is doing. And this is how they're quote unquote, attacking this problem. Now, when we talk about the tokenization, one of the core things that we all think right now is that, okay, I can tokenize my mug, I could tokenize, the whole apartment building that I live right now, I could tokenize a whole operation, right? There's different things that people could tokenize. In the same sense, going to the BIS, partnership and whatnot, this is where, we've started thinking about different things that we could tokenize. And yeah, we talked about, tokenizing a mining operation, tokenizing, the commodities themselves, such as the olive oil or the yerba mate and whatnot. But at the same time, you can tokenize renewable energy. You can tokenize solar energy farms, and we can start giving these different investment opportunities to our community, to the to the Web3 space in general. And this is something that we haven't seen in the past. People, accredited investors and large investors could, they always had this opportunity to go and invest in this kind of investment vehicles, but at the same time, a pleb like me, I would never be able to do so.
So it's also important. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Theo. It's actually, you brought something up, and I kind of wanted to put it out there. Like what you were saying, you can tokenize anything. I mean, all it is basically just like put the information on chain and it's tokenized, and there's a token that represents it. But
does that mean anything?
I mean, as we say in the business, who gives a shit? I mean, that's like the thing. Because there's actually this particular bull market that we're in right now, even though some people are probably like committing Harry Carrier right now because they think it's over. I'm pretty damn confident that we're just beginning. We're actually like right where we need to be. This bull market is going to be, it already is. RWAs are a buzzword. That's the RWAs are the buzzword for this bull market that is here. that has started and that is happening this year and then maybe part of next year. And so there's going to be a lot of noise, and just the same with AI agents that you brought up before. There's like 90% noise, 10% actual substance. In fact, probably like 95% noise, 5% substance. Same with RWAs. Everybody's going to be tokenizing everything, and in the end, like I said, who gives a shit? The point is that what does it do, right? What does the tokenization do? In our case, yes, it tokenizes provenance. That's very important, right? So you tokenize the information, you make it immutable, you make it transferable, you make it you attach it to an on-chain asset so that it can be passed on to whatever party needs that information. And the reason to do it this way is because it's an immutable asset, right? So it's basically like your certificate of authenticity, right? So you give something, that's the certificate of authenticity that goes with this. Now, of course, you can just write up another certificate of authenticity, but it's not going to be the same thing, right? It's not going to be an original. Kind of the same deal here. Now, on the other side, right? So you do tokenize something like a solar farm, right? Now, why are people just not excited about, not as excited about, like, say, tokenizing gold or silver? I mean, you think, let's tokenize a bunch of gold or silver. Well, that should be so easy. I mean, in the end, like, look, if it doesn't, people on in that particular construct, people want, or in that particular context, people want to see something that is yield bearing. This is something actually we spoke to Sam about. I spoke to Sam about today, and this is what he was saying: is that it's not interesting to just tokenize gold or whatever. I mean, just like in the end, nobody gives a crap. I mean, not enough people, not enough people for it to be a thing just yet. But if you tokenize something like this, like a solar farm that can be tokenized as a STO, a security token, and can be a yield bearing asset. Now that's interesting because it's yield bearing. It does stuff, right? It does stuff for you. You don't just have to sit on it and for this thing to appreciate in value. It literally, it's passive income. It's sort of like staking in a way, So that's why it's interesting. That's why people would care, and that's why these opportunities with BIS are so interesting, because so many of them are like that. I mean, they have these opportunities in these renewable energy and these really 21st century energy fields that really are now accessible and will be accessible through Endeavor to the average pleb like me and Theo. And and
the opportunities are vast, right? From like hydroelectric to solar farms to
now pretty much anybody who can go through KYC and is going to be pretty straightforward KYC will be able to participate in these things, where 5 years ago they couldn't have. I mean, there's really was no way to do it. Now there's going to be a way to do it. So you're going to have exposure to a much wider theater of opportunity. And again, that's what we're about here. Just to kind of bring it back full circle: opportunity inclusion, right? And it happens on many levels at Zengate, and this is one of the main ones. That this is how it happens with this.
Yeah, and it's exciting, right? We talk about solar energy, and like you said, people just have never had the opportunity in the past to be able to get into a project like that. But the next partnership I find really explosive, and it's definitely something different, right? And we're talking detonators and explosives, and our partners at NextDet, right? They've created this amazing detonator device that is a smart detonator, right? And coming back to the provenance you were talking about, they need to be able to store the information from blasts to be able to then do other things, right? Theo, can you talk? You're obviously a lot more in depth with NextDet. Can you talk a little bit about what's going on with them and how we're bringing blasting into the blockchain?
Yes. It's actually something that if you were to talk to me about it 3 months ago, I'd be like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. You know, and that's actually one of the amazing things where, you know, where you go and you visit, you know, you boots on the ground, like we like to always you know, mention, and you go and you connect with different people, you have different conversations, and this is where, you know, we found NextNet. Maybe taking a very quick step back and, you know, making sure to connect those things together. You know, we've talked about mining operations. There's, you know, so many different lithium, so much lithium, you know, on the reserves in Argentina. But at the same time, there's other minerals along with lithium, such as gold, you know, copper, and whatnot. It's not just lithium that's out there. Now, with that being said, when we started having these different conversations with people that owned these assets or the lands and whatnot, you know, we started getting into the mining industry and learning more things about it and whatnot. And one of the things that we identified, you know, in the sustainable practices that ultimately we would like, you know, to go on to, along with the technologies that we have and whatnot, is, you know, the part where explosives are being used. And what happened is we started having these kind of conversations. We met with NextNet through one of our mutual partners, and we started discussing about their solutions. And in my, you know, again, I guess I wasn't a mining industry expert by any means, right? I've heard about it. I've saw a couple cool things, but, you know, it's not that I'm an expert. So we started talking with experts, and we identified that when, you know, when there's when you're starting, you know, I guess digging and, you know, making those operations, putting all those mining operations in place, there's a lot of explosives that are being used. And so, you know, how we all have an explosion in our mind, I guess, is the fact that, you know, something that, you know, there's explosive, and, you know, there's an explosion that happens and goes everywhere, right? That's like at least in my stupid head. You know, that's as far as I go. So what the interesting part is, you know, again, going back to sustainable practices, following all the ESG standards and whatnot, what they bringing as a solution is actually an amazing technology that they have that makes the explosion to go in one specific, you know, to one specific
It's a very
side, I
controlled
guess.
detonation. It's a controlled detonation.
So it's a more control, exactly. And so now it makes everything a lot more sustainable because they know exactly where to focus the explosion onto and whatnot. So number one, make things very, very sustainable. And at the same time, they are the very first company that has actually put a software together that can capture all the data that you get from its explosion. And this is very, very important for the whole operation in general, because it gives a lot more clarity to the people that are, you know, doing, you know, working on this, the experts that are in these mining facilities. So, like I said, sustainable explosives, more sustainable explosions, and at the same time, there is this traceability component that they track all the data that they get from its explosion that's happening. Now, how are we partnering together is, number one, we will take all the data from each explosion, tokenize them, and put them on chain, right? With our tokenization protocol, Palmyra Pro, this is where this is going to happen. But at the same time, you know, we're like, how can we help you with expanding your manufacturing, you know, facilities, and, you know,
There's mining all over the world, right?
Exactly, that you want to expand. So they actually have a lot of different clients in Africa. They have a lot of clients in LATAM as well. And what they want to do is they want to open up a manufacturing facility in Argentina. So they said that, hey, we would like to tokenize this whole manufacturing facility. We want to tokenize it, right? And give a whole different investment opportunity to the Palm community, right, in the Cardano community. So number one, people will have a ways to invest in a totally different investment vehicle, if you will. And at the same time, they will be able to raise their money, open up their new manufacturing facility, and then be able to give yield back to the people that have invested in this tokenized endeavor. So there's a lot of different paths that we're taking together. There's going to be a lot of educational materials coming out around NextDebt, around the explosions, and the traceability and their unique value proposition that they bring to the game. And this will be a very, very exciting first Palmyra endeavor that we're going to be doing. And I'm super, super excited to be able to start bringing more information out to everyone, so everyone can start understanding more about NextDebt and the amazing things that they do, because in their own way, in their industry, they are the trailblazers. They are the ones that are doing things differently, and really looking at the sustainable aspect of things in the same with the same lenses that we're trying to make those processes more sustainable. So there's a lot of different synergies that we've identified. There's a lot more things to come. Some things might involve the list that Dan brought up earlier. So there's a lot of different synergies, a lot of things that are happening. Super excited that we're working with them.
Yeah, and for those that want to learn more about specifically the NextDebt, we just had them on the mainstream a couple weeks back.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go back and check it out, very interesting conversation. And I didn't realize the cost that goes into blasting, and when they blast in that kind of every direction, how much money they're wasting.
Yeah, it's very much a wasteful process the way it's done right now. That's number one. Number two, it's a lot more dangerous because it's just I mean, they don't know where it goes a lot of times, and it could there's a lot more danger there. And that, so this other of course, all this information, right? You get all this information, and it's just I mean, of course, it's not a commodity, right? But you still get tokenized provenance with this, and this information is important because this is a big part of the mining operation, right? So if you're actually tokenizing the entire mining operation per se, this is a big part of it, right? So how efficient are they with creating a mining site? Okay, so that's very important. If it's more efficient, less money is spent on it. Less money is spent on it, more money can be spent on something more important. It's less wasteful. It's more efficient. That makes sense. That's one big deal. The other one is the actual novelty of these detonators. And so, if you check out our last mainstream, we had they go into pretty good detail about how these detonators are created. And of course, I said it on the mainstream, and I'm sure that most of people watching, their knowledge of detonators and detonations either come from like Looney Tunes or Die Hard.
The guy pushing the plunger.
Yeah,
right?
that's me.
Like, boom, like, kaboom. I was just like, okay, so where does the word kaboom come out of? Or is Die Hard, when they started talking about detonators, I'm thinking about that, the first Die Hard, like, where are my detonators? And when Alan Rickman says that, anyway. But the thing about detonators is some detonators are actually dangerous, right? Because they have a small piece of explosive in them. These are actually completely harmless. If it's detached from the explosive, it can be taken on a plane. Like, there's nothing there. It's literally just a switch at that point. So this creates a much easier way to transport, right? So you can take like a duffel bag of these detonators to somewhere instead of having to deal with this, fragile,
explosives on board
shipping. Yeah. You just take these things, you take them on the plane. Like I said, these things are completely harmless. They're just they're just switches, even harmless switches. And so this eliminates a huge amount of logistical issues that you would get with getting detonators over to different parts of the world that want to do different mining operations. So yeah, it's a very novel design. It's a very useful thing. They are definitely trailblazers, and so yeah, it's really exciting to be working with them.
Yeah, and I think it's exciting to be in the mining industry. I grew up in coal country, right? So we're not even just talking like mining for commodities. There's many different people that are building roads and that use blasts, right? So there's many different ways that information could be used, and tokenizing it will be to an advantage on the bottom line for these companies. So it was quite interesting. We're going to totally switch gears here, and we're going to go right down Theo's lane because we're going to talk about Greece. So we signed all those MOUs over there in Argentina, but lo and behold, Theo and Victor were out on a trip, and Nicholas were out on a trip to Greece prior to that. And you signed 2 MOUs, one with, and I'm going to butcher these, and I apologize ahead of time, Rhodes Island and Messini.
Yeah, you got it. You're a Greek. You're almost Greek.
I'm almost Greek. So that's quite interesting, right? Like the whole entire, and you told me some very, very like things that surprised me, that in one area there was only one exporter for all the produces that were coming out of I think it was Rhodes.
It's Rhode Island, yeah.
Yeah, Rhodes Island kind of blew my mind. So can you talk a little bit about those 2 partnerships over there in Greece, because that's your place, man.
Yeah, of course. And I guess before I do that, maybe again taking a step back, I always like to do that, I guess, and give a little bit of context. As I know for a fact, the 3 of us here and a lot of people from our team, we joined, or at least I joined the space because I really believe vision that Charles had put out there, in his videos, the TEDx Bermuda or the whiteboard, you pick and choose. But I really got behind this and wanted to join this movement because I wanted to have, to build or be able to support somebody that will be bringing solutions to people's everyday lives and make them better. Fast forward, we're here today. A few months ago, I went to Greece for the very first time, with the role of me working with Zengate and having built the solutions and the products that we have. I went there and, for the first time, I spent 2 months in Greece for the first time since I left almost 15 years ago. Spent 2 months there, really going and talking to different people because, and again, this is one of the things that we have in our company as a culture, is that, yes, you can find a lot of things online. Yes, ChatGPT, Grok, all these AI things, Google, whatever have you, can give you a lot of information. You can do your market research and whatnot, right? You can find a lot of things online, but it's a totally different world when you go and you speak to the people, when you go to the field that they work and you see that work and you can really see the problems that they face, right? So going fast forward and going to the these 2 MOUs that we've signed in Greece, we visited, like I mentioned, a lot of different places. Some, 2 of them are the Rhodes Island and Messini. And one of the things that we realized when we were there traveling and speaking to these different people is that in the, if we were to take this as world problems, right, that producers are facing, there's a lot of similarities. And of course, as you break it down to more specific commodity market jurisdiction, there's always, these differences that you will find. But this, bottom line is that most people have the same problems. Either this is middleman, they're not really getting enough margin for what, for their products, and what logistics, compliance and whatnot, right? These are all different problems that they exist right now. So when we specifically, when we went to Rhodes, just to answer what you brought up, Brian, that we identified with this from the stories that everybody would tell us that there's only one person. Like let's say there's 1,000 producers in that island producing anything from potatoes, watermelons to olive oil, right? Or honey. And when they wanted to go and sell their products, especially the produce side of things, their apples, their potatoes, there's only one person that they can take their product and take it to, and that specific person would give them a price. This is how much I will pay you today, for your 1 ton of apples. Like, they really make the prices, and the producers cannot say anything. They're like, okay, like I have any other choice.
No one else to sell it
these
to.
were the stories.
It's crazy.
These were the stories that we would hear, and we were biting our lips. We're like, oh my God, like, why is this happening? And the reason is that there's no other solution. People don't know better. There's that solution, and everyone is like, okay, that's the one that I'll go. That's what my dad used to do, or my granddad used to. You know what I mean? This is the mentality that people have. Why? Because most of the times they're using 100% of their energy to work their fields, to make sure that these fields have been taken care of. And they don't have time to think about anything else, about, how can I export my product so I can make better margins and whatnot. So these are things that we brought in as solutions. And when we started talking to them, they identified that with doing the same thing, with producing the same, product that they used to, instead of selling them to that specific person or company or middleman, they can use other means such as online platforms, i.e. Palmyra platform, to list your products, and somebody from all around the world can actually see those products that you're producing and selling, and they can buy them off of you with a way better margins and prices. So when you start having these kind of conversations, people are actually, blown away. They're like, oh my God, is that an option? And of course, from not having that option to seeing that option, there is a big, there's a gap that you need to fill with a lot of education, right? And when we talk about this education, it doesn't mean that, people don't know. Like, when we had these workshops with them, specifically in Rhodes, we had 2 different workshops. We don't, we never bring up blockchain, tokenization, NFTs. We tell them about the solutions that they care about and they're looking for, right? So one of the solutions, we talk to them, hey guys, like, you can start using Palmyra platform, and the same olive oil that you would sell for 5 or 7 euros per liter, you can now sell it for 12. This is a big game changer for them. And not only that, but you know what? When you get your order, you won't have to do anything. You only have to put it in boxes, pallets, and whatnot, and then the logistic company will come and take it.
And that was a big issue, right, for them. It's
a huge blocker for any producer around the world that is micro, small, or medium size, is exports. It's custom, like, it's a big headache for them. So that's one of the things that we're doing, is bringing those solutions to them without even, them having to think, how does that work? They don't care. They don't need to care about how does it work. They need to care that this person will come pick up their order. They will make 30% more margin on their order, and, life will get better. That's all they need to care about. So again, going back to Rhodes, we've signed this MOU. We're going to be doing a lot of different pilots with them this year. We obviously were quite busy with everything that was happening over the past couple of months with the fundraise and whatnot. But things are going to start picking up again. There's a lot of different pilots that we're planning on doing with Rhodes and with Messini, because both of those municipalities are actually quite heavy on producers. They're producing a lot of different commodities over there. Specifically, Messini is the land of the olive oil in Greece. Well, one of the lands, because I don't want to piss other people from other areas.
Can't play
Greeks
favorites.
Yes. Greeks are proud, so I don't want to piss anybody else.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting how these municipalities, right, were very in tune with the solution that we offer and how it can help solve their problem. And that's one thing that I think we've always been about with Gengate and Palmyra is solving real world issues, whatever those issues are. And as we go into boots in the ground in the different locations, we find that there's different issues. However, our solution is very adaptable with the winter protocol. So tracking different information, we have these partnerships with these different shipping, helping people get the export. So it's almost like an all-in-one product for them, where we come in and we just set them up with our products, and they don't need. It's the Amazon, right? They don't need to know anything. They just know that it works, and that's all they care about, right? So it's quite interesting to see these municipalities and these higher government industries, government people looking into solutions that their people need, right? And it's very encouraging. And I think that there's a bright future. And we actually had announced something last week that a lot of people may not have heard, and we haven't talked about much of it since. Dan kind of gave this info away. We have a whole nother platform coming, and that platform's Palmyra Express. So there's going to be these limited offers of different items, and one of the first items, I'm going to give this away right now. One of the first items that's going to be available is Greek olive oil. So I can't even get Greek olive oil. You don't know how excited I am, like, to be able to bring these products from these small, medium-sized producers around the world to people that could actually, who want the products, right? Like olive oil being one of the most adulterated, the honey from Zambia that we're doing. We didn't even talk about that partnership at all. Bringing these producers and these small to a global stage and helping them improve their life. Like it's just amazing. And all these partnerships, each one is kind of strategic, whether it was the mining ones where there's finance people we got involved with, regulating people, very, very, very strategic partnerships. And Dan, if you just want to kind of close it off with, maybe we're kind of coming towards our end, just your, and I know we have more partnerships because Theo's been telling me about them, and they're going to be coming soon, so don't worry. But Dan, can you kind of just talk about overall what excites you most about all these partnerships and what you see here in the little bit of the future, and we'll kind of end on that note.
Sure. Well, so all these partnerships are fuel for the Palm economy and fuel for the Palm ecosystem, the Palmyra ecosystem, actually. And this is from all sides, right? So this is from the side of Endeavor. This is from the side of Palmyra Pro. This is from the side of, there's opportunities from the side of the Palmyra, the Palmyra platform, Palmyra.app. There is opportunities that are coming out and deals coming out and action happening at Palmyra Express, with Greek olive oil and then other commodities. And again, this is not going to be just your supermarket, online supermarket for all this stuff. These are going to be limited quantities and limited runs because they really are limited. When we do zombie and honey, that stuff is not easy to attain. That stuff takes a while to do because it's real honey. It's not this mass-produced crab that you get at your average supermarket that is mostly sugar syrup. So that's just very exciting to me because it's giving everything we do substance. And also I kind of wanted to go into some of these comments right here, right? And while we're I'm not gonna get too deep into these comments, I just kind of wanted to put them out there. And this is what it's about, right? So the one, see, like right here. So we got the Gulf Coast asking, and I hope I'm not butchering his name, but Gulf Coast.
Glapkos Mitidis.
Yeah, well, that exactly. He's asking us that if there is a Greek presentation. Why? Because he wants to work with the Palmyra ecosystem, with Palm economy, to bring more opportunities to the ecosystem. We have another one from Philip.
Can I answer that quick one, Dan?
Yeah. Sure.
Yes is the answer. Yes, there is a Greek playbook, handbook, and not only Greek, but at the same time, we're actually building all of these different material in like all different languages. Specifically for the Greek community, Glafkos, we actually have we're going to be organizing. Well, I think not. We're already organized a space for Sunday with the Greek community, so we can come on, and I will be giving a lot of different information and answering questions about Palm and everything that we do with the Palmyra Partners Program and whatnot. So by all means, feel free to join it. And there's a lot of things that we're doing, and I'll be sharing with you. So yes, 100%. All of that stuff is coming, and we're building the same handbooks for sales, for business development, for how to speak to regulators. There is a whole library of educational material with videos that is coming, and we're building together with the team here. So rest assured that we're going to be equipping you guys with all of those tools that you need to go and be successful.
Yeah. And so, I mean, all of this is exciting to me. Now, before we go, I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit on what some people asked in the beginning, and that has to do with different parts of TGE and staking and all these different things that have to do with the token launch. So what's happening right now is staking is pretty much done. It's not live yet, but it is pretty much done. It's literally getting wrapped up, I think, this week. Smart contracts have been audited. I mean, it's pretty much ready to go. So, and like I said, that, and like we said before, that's one of the top priorities to launch immediately after the TGE happens. As Brian said, we're going to be putting out a video, video that I filmed yesterday, actually explaining what's happening with TGE. So right now, what's happening is the Palm economy is going through the approval process with the local FSA, the Seychelles FSA, which is where the token is being launched out of. Since we are very heavy on doing things the right way, this is the process that we need to take. The video is going to explain a little bit more about what's going on and give you more information, but essentially that's where we're at right now. It should not take any unreasonable amounts of time. As soon as that is done, we will have basically once we get the green light from the FSA, and like I said, it shouldn't be a problem. It's just a matter of following the process. We can be ready to go, and then we will do the launch. And it boils down to long-term sustainability. Why do we do all of this? Why do we KYC? We could have just done just a token sale like some do and do whatever. Why do we care about what the FSA says? Well, because look, Palm economy is meant to be long-term, multi-decade, multi-generational, sustainable. I mean, this is Palm economy, right? This is not just something that's supposed to be it should, fizzle out when the bull market is over. No, that's not what's happening. And so this is why we're taking these steps. This is why we are making sure that all these things are done. So down the line, if new regulations come in, if questions are asked, we have answers. We say, okay, yes, we complied here. We took care of this. This is all, this is done. It's all proper. It's all, it's all legit. And that's the only way we're going to do things. So yeah, please, hang with us. We're on it. It's moving along really well. All the other components are ready to go. And like I said, and like Brian said, there's going to be a little video coming out after this just to give you more information about this. Yeah. And so we're looking forward to launching Palm economy. And this is why I wanted to bring up these questions from the community and from the audience here, launching the Palm economy so that all these community members can really have a clear incentive behind all this work that they want to put into this through Palm DAO, through Endeavor, through Express, through the Palmyra platform, like all these different components of the Palmyra ecosystem. So just that really is what excites me, and that is why, like I said, we are hanging in there. We're making sure that things are done right, and making sure that things when they launch, which is going to be really soon, are in such a way where there's no up only. And I'm not talking about price. I'm talking about ecosystem growth. Up only. That's what we are. That is what we're design the Palm economy for. Up only ecosystem growth. So I guess
Yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah, exciting times ahead. And like Dan said, there will be a video coming out explaining everything. And then by all means, join our Discord if you have any questions. Theo, any last words you want to get out before we call this a day?
No, I just want to say, I guess, follow to what Dan just mentioned. We're literally in the final step, like not steps. It's the final step. So we, as long as we ensure that this final step is done in the most compliant way possible, at this moment things are not in our hands. Everything is ready. We literally have our hand on the trigger, and we're waiting for the go. And as soon as we get the go, everyone will know about it, and we're all gonna pull that trigger together, if you will. And after that is just a big exciting journey that I guess chapter that we're all going to write together. And for me, this is the most exciting thing, that I'll be able to start working with each and every one of the amazing people we have in our community. Going back to the question we got from Glafkos about the handbook, this is exactly what's coming. A lot of we're building Google Drive folders with a lot of educational material for the producer side of things, or how to go and speak to potential buyers, how to go and approach different regulators from the jurisdictions that each one of you is in. There's a lot of overhaul that we're doing. We're building all of those things. So when the time comes, when TG is there, when the token is there, the Palm DAO is getting formed together, everyone has the tools that they need, so they can go and do the things that they want to do and grow the ecosystem. And at the same time, growth brings growth. And there's this, amazing cycle that is going to start happening with the rebate fees, more growth, the treasury. All of this is going to just make a very, very sustainable ecosystem that each one of you will be able to have a very active part. So I'm super excited. I'm really looking forward to it. We're literally on the last step. As soon as we get, all the last green lights that we're looking for, it's a go, and I cannot wait for this to happen. We're all ready. We're literally putting all of those things together so we can have the right foundations for a very, very, for the next decades to come, and be able to, to be secure in all the compliance side of things. So we have a big long-term, I guess, sustainable growth.
Sustainable growth, up only sustainable growth. You heard it here, folks. I want to thank everybody for listening. Next week, we have BIS joining us, so make sure you stop in. It'll be around the same time, same day on the mainstream. Make sure you join us, find out what we're up to with BIS. Thanks again, everybody. And that video will be dropping here soon about the TGE. So go ahead, follow Palm Economy on Twitter, and have a great day, folks. Stay Palm.